Welcome to another episode of Conversation and Cocktails with your host, me, Lenny B. In this episode, we speak to Dave Mitchell. Dave Mitchell has been a friend of mine for almost 30 years. We played in the band Without a Cause together. He also went on to play in the band Four in the Chamber, and now playing in the band Apparition. We sat down, I got drunk, he witnessed it, we talked. So, roll that fucking footage. First off, I want to thank Dave for being here. I also want to thank Bridgerton Brewery for this tasty beverage.
Picking up change.
Picking up change. Artwork by Steve Hugh. Motherfucker. What's going on, Dave?
Nothing much, man.
Good, good.
Good to finally be here. We finally made time for this.
You finally made time for a cocksucker. I always had time.
You live here.
I live here. So, let's talk about how the Bronx really got no love when it came to like hardcore music. Because
Bronx still gets no love.
It doesn't, because Bronx was always like a metal stronghold.
Correct.
You know, I always felt like with the Bronx that there was always a sort of like a metal scene in the Bronx. There
definitely was a metal scene, trust me.
You know, and if you were into hardcore, I don't know if it was Mike or Armando once said, like, motherfucker from the Bronx like to travel. Because, you know,
correct.
If you wanted to do anything in the Bronx, you know, you had to travel. You know, because there's really nothing going on in the fucking Bronx, dude. It was like, what clubs were there? There was a Train Depot for a hot second.
Real hot second, guys.
And then there was the Black Thorn up on Mashulu.
Correct.
And that lasted maybe a year.
And now it's a CVS.
Is it?
Yes, it's a CVS now. It burnt down, it's a CVS now.
I didn't even realize it burnt down.
And then we had in New Rochelle, we had Streets for a little bit.
Well, that's New Rochelle, it's not the Bronx.
No, so the Bronx had nothing.
I mean, and, you know, you did have the church for a second, but the church was very exclusive on what they booked. And,
correct.
You know, and again, I don't want to really, I know the guys that did shows up there, and I really kind of don't want to shit on you guys, but you were exclusive in what you did, which was kind of fucked up because you knew the 15-year-olds were not going to travel to the city to go see shows. Sorry. You know, you got, you know, and now there's doing shows at the church. Bogey, shut the fuck up. Thank you, Bogey. Sorry, guys. Bogey.
Angry dog.
Angry dog. Angry owner. How did you, like, get into heavy music, dude?
Let's see. Lehman High School.
Mm-hmm.
Started off, and then Headbangers Ball, basically. Was waiting up till midnight to listen to Mr. Tight Pants himself, Ricky Rackman. And then I was drawn in by the Californian bass sound of like Violence and Exodus and Forbidden and bands like that. And that's where it started with heavy music for me at that time.
Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball was my kickoff.
Dude, I remember those. You stay up till midnight on Saturday.
Yep.
It went till what, 2 or 4?
It went to 2 o'clock in the morning, man.
And then there'd be like that one hardcore video, like usually between like the 1:30, 2 o'clock mark.
It was Sick of It All and Justice System or Anthem by Agnostic Front.
Yeah.
But it was like next to last video of the night.
Yeah, and it would be like a bunch of like hair metal bands from 12 o'clock to at least 1. Ugh. And then they would get like adventurous. Like, yeah, oh look, Pantera's being played.
Dangerous music.
Dangerous music now at the 1 o'clock mark. You know.
Otherwise we had to deal with Slaughter and Trickster and bands like that.
Kick. Or
Kicks. Kicks. Dangerous Toys.
Dangerous Toys. Cinderella.
Oh.
You know, you're like, all right, I got it. Nobody's full. Relax. It's true though. Fucking dude, Headbangers Ball was the shit. But there was actually prior to that, in the like 87, 88, there was Heavy Metal Afternoons on MTV.
It was dangerous in the afternoons.
You know, it was only for like an hour and half an hour at best. They would always start out with Kerry King walking up and hitting the gong with his fucking BC Rich. You know, and
he had hair at the time too.
Yeah, it was disappearing real quickly, kind of like how mine is now. That's
why he wears a hat.
That's why I wear a hat. Actually, no, I still have 75% of my hair. You don't.
He keep reminding me.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah.
You know, you want to fuck around, dude. You can fuck around all day.
If you can get it off the wall, people. There you go.
There you go. Look, Dave Mitchell with a fucking widow's peak.
With hair.
With hair.
Pretty funny shit, actually.
Or you can go to YouTube and search Without a Cause at Wetlands and see a full flowing locks of hair. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Go check them out. What made you want to play? I mean, obviously, fucking watching Headbangers Ball, but like, what gravitated you to like? It's like, fuck it, I want to pick up an instrument and like.
I got to be honest. It was there were a couple of guys at school that wanted to start a band in high school, and I was like, I remember watching Metallica videos and watching Cliff Burton, and I was just like, you know, I want to play bass. And
Cliff and Mall?
Yeah, it basically started from there, and that man was a god.
Yeah, no, Cliff Burton was nothing to fuck with. Dude, it's funny, though, because you watch those guys talk about Cliff now, and they miss him, but they say if Cliff would have walked in nowadays to do an audition, they're like, would he have been the guy? You know? But at the same time, would have Lars Ulrich been the fucking drummer?
I would hope to hell not. Lars Ulrich would not be the drummer.
No offense, Lars. You work fine with Metallica because, you know, triggers. I'm not saying anything else. Yeah, but like I said, the Bronx is... I remember, like, when you first joined the band, this is Without a Cause, when Dave
has
first
to be
joined
specific.
Yeah, I have to be specific because Dave's been doing this for a while, so have I. When you first joined the band, about 92, early 92, we were on... I remember you had brought down some videos of, like, Violent Carnage playing... That's... Violent Carnage?
That was my high school band in high school.
High school band in high school.
Hey guys, that's Lenny's fault. Just remember,
Scott Brick. I still remember when he got jumped at that show. But
ouch.
Sorry, Scott. But yeah, I just remember like watching this whole thing at like Lehman go down, and Lehman would have these shows, right?
Battle of the Bands at Lehman High School.
Lehman would have these fucking like, I don't know if they were Battle of the Bands or like spring jams or what the fuck.
They had a Battle of the Bands, and then they had a spring jam session, which actually had really good turnouts for a high school, and it was just
a few hundred people in an auditorium. And I actually went. I remember.
Yes, you were there.
I went to a show. The show that's Scott Brick got jumped at, and I was just like, wow. This is like a real fucking deal production. Is like
lighting and microphones.
I like PA system, lights, smoke. I was like, wow. I was like, amazing what like fucking the Board of Education fucking got
pay for.
I know. That's exactly what it was. It was like, all right, we're gonna give money to the arts, so we're gonna buy a PA, a smoke machine, and lights. You know, but Lehman always had quite the what's the word? They had always had quite the music program.
Yes, yes.
You know, and I got to give props to Dave Rose.
Hi, Dave Rose.
You definitely fucked some kids' heads up in a good way, though.
That's a good way to keep that fire burning in those little Bronxites.
Yes. But, yeah, I mean, Violent Carnage, you know, I just remember when you joined Without a Cause, right?
What a fucking reality check that was. Let me tell you about it.
But here's the thing, though. We, you know, me and the guys had no idea what we were doing. Me and Al had zero idea because, you know, it was like, well, how do you get a gig? How do you do this? How do you do that? And at least you, like, had some sort of knowledge of that, which you brought into the fold, so to speak. And, you know, I think our first show we played with you and Ray Malone because you guys kind of joined around the same time.
Before that, we had some Jose guy on drums.
Oh, you were in the band for that?
Yes, I was.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Unfortunately.
Nice
guy, though.
Nice guy.
So strange. Very
but he, you know, we wound up booking.
You want to give a little bit of headway there? You're just gonna drop the.
I'm not. No, fuck him.
All right.
I don't know what he's doing. He's probably fucking doing something.
It was just very odd.
You know, we got him like a temper. You know, he was always kind of known as he was going to be temporary. I think he told us, I was like, I'll play with you for a couple months.
He played like it too.
Yeah, he played like he was getting ready to get the fuck out of the door. So, you know, Dave's like, oh, we could play this place, and this place out in Randolph, New Jersey,
Obsessions.
And Obsessions was essentially like a teen
Nightclub.
They sold no booze ever, and it was like, we sold like whatever it was at the time, 20, 25 tickets. Because
that was the way they made their cash, man. And
you had it.
Looking back on it now, I gotta say it was completely a ripoff to expect a band from Manhattan and the Bronx to drive all the way 2 hours into New Jersey and bring 25 people is just ridiculous. But we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
The crazy part about it was that there was some sort of like music scene out in like northern Jersey at that time. I mean, I think about it, I'm like, wow. I was like, there's a couple hundred kids in a room, and I mean, you obviously had played there before with your old band.
I did, but nothing like the show we played out there. That show was just wild. It was crazy. I mean, I did not expect the reaction that we got, and that's one of the shows I really wish we had video for, because it was a packed room that just going nuts, and I don't think to that date you guys had played a show that size yet.
No. We prior to that we only did like 4 or 5 shows, and they were mostly like, they were all kind of in the same spot in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That God rest his soul, Frank Collins booked.
Miss you, Frank.
But yeah, I mean, the hardcore scene coming out of the Bronx was like a really weird thing because it didn't exist. It really didn't. I mean, there was Close Call.
Correct.
There was Rampage, who I think was more of a band in name only at that point than anything else, because
right.
You go up the Bronins, and Joe would be working up there, and he'd have his Rampage stickers and this, that.
He'd be working.
Work, if you want to call it that. And with Joe, I think the first time I saw Joe play was when we played Metal Madness. And Metal Madness...
Woo!
That was
a Chippewa club?
No, that was another show.
Oh, okay.
That was the time we played, I remember we played the Chippewa Club, that was actually 92. And...
So many shows. Jeez.
Well...
He's got a good memory.
I know, for all the amount of drugs and things I've done to myself, I actually do remember things. It is fucking crazy, isn't it?
And I've done no drugs.
And you don't remember nothing.
I can't remember anything. So.
He remembers to wear that crush-ass Madball shirt.
Fly Madball shirt.
That shit is cracking, dude.
Is it really? Away. It's brand new, man.
That's brand new?
It's brand fucking new. I just got it.
There's some cracks already in it. Stop it, dude. Fucking... I love you, Freddie. Make better shirts. But anyway, no, the Chippewa Club was... I remember it was like... I don't remember who the fuck played that show. It was a VFW right off of Westchester Square.
Now, is that the one with the video circulating right now?
There is a video of that, and it's backlit, so it's just shadows playing music, and the video just is terrible. Actually, Chucky Brown filmed that.
Thanks, Chucky.
Thanks, Chucky. I wish you wouldn't have filmed that. But yeah, like I said, I just want to talk about Bronx for a second, because like I said, the Bronx it was never really had its own fucking thing. It always seems like every time there would be like the random shows that would pop up like at some like Dominican club or some fucking random club somewhere, and they'd have one show, and it would like...
Honestly, I just felt it never could get traction. And there were starting towards the end of the late 90s, because 97, 98, there were a lot of really good bands ready to come out of that area. But the thing was with the Bronx is that they really were limited in where they could play, where these bands could get a start. I mean, there was still, towards the end of the 90s, I mean, you had bands like Blackout and Driven by Hatred and... Irate.
Go to Mentes.
Billy Club Sandwich. And then Fahrenheit 451. And there was District 9. I mean, there was a ton of bands ready to come out of the Bronx, but they were limited to either the Blackthorn or the Train Depot at that point.
And the Train Depot maybe lasted less than a year.
Yeah, it wasn't there. It was just it was a shame too. And until you know, in the 2000s, there really was no place for these bands to play.
There really still isn't a place for these bands to play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's funny to say, like, Staten Island has more of a scene going on
Than the Bronx.
than the Bronx does. And Staten Island is fucking, you know, nothing against Staten Island, of course, but you go, well, the Bronx has so much more of a rich history, you know, because what came out of Staten Island? Enrage?
Hi, Jeff.
You know, and no offense to Enrage, you know, and they do a really good job with Mother Pugs, you know, they do. But, you know, out of Staten Island, there's really, you know, they had like the Wave, and they would have backyard shows, and they had
a couple of cool venues there.
They would have a few little things, and someone keeps blowing up my fucking phone.
He's a popular guy.
I'm, you know.
He's texting back too.
No, I'm not texting Lenny back.
But yeah, it was just like this. Like I said, the Bronx was just like this, like redheaded stepchild when it came to music. I mean, there was the Mullaly's
skate park
that would do summer shows, and they did that for like about 3 years.
And those shows were pretty cool.
And I mean that Sick of It All playing in Mullaly's footage again, you know.
That's wild. And you know what that showed also? Listen, I understand people did come out from, because it was by the train station, people did come out, but that did show that there was kids in the Bronx that wanted to embrace hardcore. There was just no outlet for these kids to go to.
And that's a shame, because there still is really no real outlet for the Bronx to do shows. I mean, again, not shitting on the church, but they're not readily to like accept, like, you know, like
it's not exactly like, you know, it's not like a CBGB's or something to that extent. That so you hear that out there, promoters and stuff. Anybody that wants to buy a club, go to the Bronx, buy a club, please.
Because you'd be surprised how many fucking people are into hard music in the Bronx. I mean, you really would be surprised. You know, I was always surprised when like a random band would show up from the Bronx and be like, really?
Yeah, Lenny would always be like, "There's more of you."
Well, here's the thing, right? Like when, like, Without a Cause, for instance.
Sure.
You know, we
just a social note for you guys out there on social media. If it was not for Without a Cause, there would be no Four in the Chamber. There would be no Dave in Apparition. There'd be none of that, because
probably be no Fahrenheit either.
Because there'd be no Fahrenheit, because between this gentleman here and Mr. Alec Friedman basically introduced me to a whole different genre and subculture of music. And no, just saying it, Lenny's one of my oldest friends, and I greatly appreciate being opened up to all this new music, because I know when I first went to his house, he had this huge tape wall, and I remember I'm like, I never heard of any of these bands. And now all these years later, I'm like, oh, that's all on my iPod now. It's crazy. But
I know.
Enough for that.
If you notice, I have no music, like
nothing.
No tapes, no DVDs. It's all on my hard drive. It's crazy.
You were going Without a Cause before I digressed.
Yes, before you digress.
Kevin Gill, digress.
Digress. We'll talk about him too. Where the fuck was I going with this?
You were Without a Cause, man. Remember, you have a memory. I don't.
I do have a memory. Obviously, it's fucking going south. Oh, when we first started Without a Cause, right, it was all Manhattan guys for the most part. And once
it was.
early 92, we got Dave and we got Ray Malone. And there was this Bronx connection that started, right? And at the time,
we're like a virus.
Yeah, and it started spreading. And at the time, the only other band that really was doing anything else was Close Call.
Correct.
But at the time, Close Call really wasn't doing much either. You know, they would play the random show here, the random show there. It really wasn't until '93 everyone started playing Bond Street Cafe, because we were all not cool. Let's get real.
We were the outcasts.
There were so many outcast bands that played Bond Street Cafe because we couldn't get booked. CB's was not doing matinees at the time.
Couldn't get into the Grand.
Well, we did play that, but that's a different story.
Thank
Basically, none of these bands could get arrested outside of Bond Street Cafe. We would we'd get the random Wetland show because of like the guy who was managing Warzone at the time.
Yes.
He was getting the random Sunday at Wetlands.
I don't know.
Rob Daverman. That's his fucking
Holy
name.
shit! This guy's
Todd
memory is ridiculous.
Todd Hamilton is probably thrilled that I know that name.
Hi, Todd.
Hi, Todd. And he booked us to play. Our first show there, actually, it's Breakdown.
Ah.
We wound up playing there sometime in mid-'93. And, it was kind of like this weird fucking, Wetlands was, again, one of those clubs that would have matinees once a month. They would decide to open up the doors to hardcore bands, and once a month you would have a hardcore show. And we wound up playing. I think we wound up playing there like 3 different times.
We played there with. We did Breakdown. We did Sam Black Church. We did Dog Eat Dog, and there was probably one other show I'm forgetting.
Maybe Black Chain Jack.
I would have liked it, but it wasn't Black Church. I would have loved that.
It is what it is.
I can't remember, man.
It's been so long ago, but
Lenny will remember about 20 minutes from now.
yeah, I'll get it. Black Train Jack was actually another fantastic band that kind of came and went.
Phenomenal band, man. Phenomenal.
But as far as like Bronx and the hardcore goes, I mean, again, Bronx always had a metal scene.
Very true.
Bronx always had some. It was always like a half a dozen bands who would play like twice a year.
Well, I mean, more or less, not even metal. I would say thrash metal because Demolition Hammer came out of the Bronx. They were all Bronx. Requiem came out of the Bronx. I wouldn't be playing bass if it wasn't for their bass player. 2 of the members from Anthrax live in Throg's Neck to this day. They still live there.
Who?
Frank Bello and Benante. They both
live in Chicago.
Well, they used to live in Throg's Neck, Leonard.
Well, listen.
And they went to
Charlie lives in fucking Chicago now.
He's just got to blast it. He's just got to shit on the Bronx, man.
Not shit on the Bronx. Fucking they shit on the Bronx. They moved out. It was smart.
Go get a decent slice of pizza in Chicago.
It's not pizza. It's lasagna.
Ah.
It's lasagna. Let's get this real. It's fucking lasagna when you go to Chicago. It's not fucking pizza. Shut up!
Anger management.
I'm not fucking angry. I'm just telling the dog to shut the fuck up. But yeah, I mean, there's one. I'm gonna tell one story about Without a Cause because I just think it's.
I think there's gonna be more than one story.
But there's always more than one story. But there's one story. Kevin Gill tends to call this 48 Hours of Freshness tour. Yeah, Kev, you know exactly what I'm talking. So, the only time we ever did a tour, me and him, was we played New Paltz and then we played in Connecticut.
Connecticut, oh boy.
The Boiler Room.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
And I just remember we showed up the day before the show, which to this day I don't know why. We actually spent the night.
In Amondo's house.
Amondo's dorm. Amondo's dorm.
I slept on a couch.
I did not. I wound up breaking into the empty dorm underneath and fucking...
It's 25 minutes already?
Wound up breaking into the fucking... We wound up breaking into the dorm underneath.
I totally forgot about this until he's bringing it up now.
And we wound up playing to fucking... some random like fucking...
How did you break into said apartment?
The window was open.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe it was open. Maybe we broke a window. I can't say.
He can't recall, people.
I can't recall, but I just remember playing in front of like a college crowd with stick figure.
Oh boy.
And I also remember that night Al jumping off the stage.
And do you also remember Shane Verdi riding up in his Harley Davidson and taking up 45 minutes to get our sound right?
No, he did sound that night?
Yes.
Ooh, that's probably why we were not in such great shape.
I remember that little detail.
I don't.
That'll be another story if Lenny decides to divulge.
No, we're gonna talk about Shane Verdi because I think he needs to get fucking. We need to talk about managers. Because in the early '90s,
we had a lot of managers.
Managers was like a thing. Everyone was like, "I got a manager." I was like, "That's great. Who gives a fuck?" We had several. Kevin Gill probably being the best one.
Thank you, Kevin.
And you gonna stop that from going off?
That's not me. That's you, bro. That's Alexa. See?
Well, maybe it is Alexa.
He always blames me.
I will. Getting back to
Where were
music history, right? You were technically in the first throes of Fahrenheit.
Throes of Fahrenheit.
Throes of Fahrenheit.
I was there for the audition process of the vocal patterns.
Yes, there were three guys.
Of the vocal stylings.
We had the one guy who did the Eddie Vedder ripoff. I remember there were three guys. Mondo was the last guy.
Well, first, I don't know if he remembers it. We did attempt the biohazard thing for, I think,
2 seconds.
2 seconds, and we were like, "Ain't working."
I was not taking over vocals.
No.
It would have been, I would have been Billy Bio running around with the fucking headset on.
It would have. We figured out that was a big no. Then we had the Eddie Vedder guy, and that was just.
That was Joe Scala's friend.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was Joe Scala's friend.
It was Joe Scala's friend, and I just remember he was singing and he was just shaking his head the whole time like this, like
we've been ram-a-lam-a-lam-a-lam-a ding-dong.
But hardcore managers, I want to talk about this for a second because we had some experience with this, and in the early mid-90s, everyone had a manager, and we had a few. We had Ray Maluna's friend Jason,
who promised us everything,
but I think Ray was just like extorting him for money so he could buy sticks and
buy
cymbals.
drum stuff for him.
Yeah, because he never got us a gig.
But he did pay for our studio.
Oh, all right.
He did pay for studio time.
And then we had another guy. I don't remember the big goon dude.
That was from your block.
From my block.
He carried a briefcase, though.
He carried a briefcase, and I think he paid for a set of demos.
We have no idea what was in those. Didn't you give away the demos for free?
He got really mad about that. You guys sell these things. Like, dude, the demos. Who cares? And then Kevin Gill decided to step up. And Kevin Gill was probably the best manager we had because he actually got us gigs. He got us our record deal with SFT, which then he
took over.
He took over. He became that guy.
Know your roots, kids. Look up SFT Records.
And then we wound up with this guy, Shane, who used to sing in this band Law and Order. And it was probably, at the time, he promised us the world, and he really was just.
When your parents tell you to do something, not to do something, and you do it anyway.
That's what we did.
That's what us. We did it.
We did it,
and we signed our names on paperwork too.
I actually ran into that contract recently, and it was like he was just looking, dude. It's funny because Law and Order just actually in the last 10 years they came out with something new.
Is he on the record?
Yes. Oh, and some girl on the fucking, or woman I should say, Rose like, fuck these guys, they're all junkies, they're drug out. I was like, yeah, it's about right.
It sounds fair.
It sounds fair.
Didn't he wear a dress?
This guy basically wanted to do as little work as possible and collect on a fucking advance.
I'm gonna get you guys a record deal. What was it, Roughhouse Records? He kept saying Roughhouse Records.
Did he?
Yeah, that was his big thing. He's like, you guys don't want Roadrunner, you want Roughhouse.
Yeah, because look up Roughhouse, guys. Look up Roughhouse. See what they put out. They probably put out like 2 things, and they probably both from fucking.
And what a good recording experience it was with him too, right?
We won't get into that. One of these days, I'm going to talk about the fucking Black Demo fucking recording experience, and
we'll come back for part 2, the Without a Cause years.
It was not fun, it's painful.
Literally.
recently I actually had to go back and again to plug Dignified Bastard. There was going to be at some point in the year, I can't tell you when because I am not that guy, but we've decided to put out at least the Nation of Neglect and the infamous Black demo.
Infamous.
On a 12-inch, and I went in and I fucking mixed a unreleased song that was on the original like reel, and that's when I realized this guy had no idea what the fuck he was doing.
Not a clue.
Not a clue, and we'll see what happens with that. You know, check it out. Check out Dignified Bastard for fucking information for that.
You guys won't be disappointed. This is, I mean, honestly, it's one of my favorite recordings. The
not mine.
Not the black tape. The 7-inch is one of my favorite recordings.
Don Fury. You know, we recorded 4 songs in 5 hours and mixed and done.
And
out
just
the door.
And just being in Don Fury's recording studio and looking who was actually recorded in that, what was it, basement or cellar?
18 Spring Street in the basement.
Just to see who recorded in there, and still, I mean, you guys definitely won't be disappointed about that piece of the puzzle, trust me. Those songs still hold true in the year 2019, so.
If you like Biohazard type sounding music. Sorry. But, yeah, after the Without a Cause thing, you know, it switched over to Fahrenheit, and then you wound up doing 4 in the Chamber.
Correct.
And it was a bunch of interesting dudes. I have to say, Cedric, you can hit him with a chair, and he didn't care.
He liked to be hit with chairs.
He liked to be hit with chairs. You had fucking Jaws of Life.
John Lesson, we have no idea where he is. He's now MIA. He might have shaved his head and become a monk somewhere. Can't find him anywhere.
Anthony on drums.
Anthony is still on Long Island. I've heard from him briefly.
Frank.
Frank is married now, has 2 kids, is doing fine, I guess.
Yeah.
That was, and we did a lot of our first shows with Fahrenheit. Very, like, weird. It was like, all right, here we go. And we were basically your van for a couple of shows. The first couple of shows. It was fun, man. I had a great time with those initial shows. Fahrenheit was just getting on their elevation.
Yeah.
I think the record was getting ready to come out, or you finished the New York's Hardest just came out?
New York's Hardest probably, it took a little while for the EP to come out, but you guys were definitely part of that like early like 96 fucking thing where
Everything started getting real good.
Well, that's the thing. Let's talk about 90s hardcore.
Woohoo! My
90s
favorite era.
90s hardcore was a weird fucking time because when we were fucking... I can't even comprehend this because there were literally... Like, early 90s was kind of hit and miss. 95 was a rebuilding year for a lot of Bond Street type bands.
It was like retooling and rebuilding for
Yes.
that.
And then once 95, 96 happened, it was off and running. It just blew the fuck up. And you had shows that were, you had bands that were playing like a few years before at Bond Street in 93, 94, now headlining like an Irving Plaza.
It was really, I mean, one of my favorite eras of music. You had basically like bands like VOD that were playing small clubs on Long Island now headlining Irving Plaza, to your point. You had H2O now headlining Tramps.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy. It was Coney Island High. It was, listen, music was great. I mean, not even in just New York. I mean, Pennsylvania, Four in the Chamber used to play CC's, and we played with Earth Crisis and One King Down, and it was just all over the place.
One King Down. Wow.
Yeah. It was just crazy. Like, to Lenny's point, it was just like a complete, somebody hit the accelerate switch, and
yeah.
hardcore just took off, man.
It was kind of crazy how, like, 90s hardcore, and it hasn't been really documented yet. And I know some people who have watched these things, and they go, well, he talks a lot about 90s hardcore. It's like, yeah, because I cut my teeth on 90s hardcore when you could pack in a club, 1,000-person club, And it wasn't reunion gimmick. It wasn't like, you know, a last show ever gimmick. It was just...
It was a show.
It was a show. That's how big it was. You know? And
honestly, guys, no band sounded anything like the other band. You would have a band like VOD to a band like Black Train Jack. There was so much diversity in the music. Would you agree on that?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Diversity, it was crazy. And kids would go off for every band, and it was a great time to be at shows. It was just a fun time. The vibe was awesome.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
He's fast forwarding, guys.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Apparition. Let's talk about Apparition, because this is your, you know,
this is
latest
now.
and greatest thing.
Yes.
And you guys have been knocking around the fucking New York tri-state area more than most bands have been.
Knocking.
And you're not the original bass player for Apparition, are you?
Myself and Marlo are not original members of this band.
Explain the history of Apparition.
As
best you can.
Gion's not here, so...
I don't care about Gian. Fuck you, Gian. I like you, but fuck you.
That's Lenny's way of saying he loves you.
I do.
So originally they were a band called Waist Deep in Flesh. They were like more of a punk thrash metal band. They reworked their sound and their style a little, and then they changed their name to Apparition. I was just basically coming out of Four in the Chamber, and I was bored sitting at home, and Gian and the then singer Jonathan asked me to listen over some of their recordings and give them some pointers and figure out what they could do to improve their sound. So basically that morphed into, hey, do you want to play bass? And then they needed a second guitar player, and I knew Marlo was playing guitar, because Marlo was a guitar player, for those of you that don't know. And she came on board as a guitar player. And then basically through a trial and error, basically singer after singer was not working out. And then Marlo basically said, you know what, I want to give it a shot. I want to try it. And the rest is where we are now. I mean, the kid stepped up, put the guitar down, you know, has worked 100% dedicated to being a vocalist since then. And, I mean, the last record that just came out, I think she's done a phenomenal job. For somebody that went from, I know your singer went from bass player
yes,
to singing. And it's a huge, I think we were discussing it earlier, you have no more, nothing is protecting you anymore.
No, nothing to hide behind.
You're out there, and,
yeah.
And it's a lot of work, and she embraced it over 3 different albums, and I'm very proud of her as my friend and as my singer.
I mean, I've... through different things, I actually think the Making Day Parade played with Apparition at the Grand Victory.
We did. Another fun band of Lenny's.
Well, you know, I have nothing but fun happening. You know, fun. Fun's the F word around here. But this last record you guys did.
Correct.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It seemed like you guys were on some Metallica Black record with the amount of time you spent recording, because it was like, holy shit, they're still going. This is amazing. And I think a couple times I texted, when I would see a post on Instagram, I would be like, so, are you going for Metallica's record here?
We tried. We did everything humanly possible.
Year and a half?
No, it's more like 2 years, basically.
So you went over the Black record.
We did, but
wow.
There were a lot. I mean, people had a lot of personal issues going on, and we honestly wanted to make sure that we took time, because we had the opportunity in the studio we were, to basically listen. Did it take longer than I wanted? Absolutely, because I'm not used to that kind of stuff. But I gotta say that the end result, I'm extremely proud of.
No, you should be.
I think the work paid off. I think the production crew at Level Up Studios was a phenomenal job, and you know, like I said, much longer than I was used to. I'm used to recording with this guy when we're like, you go in and 5 hours later,
done. Well, except it was the Black demo. Then it took a month.
Oh.
And that's still a lot of time when you think about it. I mean,
was it a month?
Actually,
I felt like a year.
No. I have the fucking thing inside with all the dates on it. It's pretty funny. The entire month of May '93.
Oh.
It took a month.
There were a lot of late nights in that studio.
Well,
Breaking day.
yeah. Or how about I don't like the snare sound where you have to re-punch the snare in.
So kids, let's just give this as a public service announcement. The person that you record with, if they have no idea what they're doing, they should not be recording your record.
No. No, and he had no idea what he was doing.
Absolutely not. When he tells you that he has to have your drummer come in and punch every snare hit in, that's a problem.
Well, to be fair, no, I'm not going to be fair. Fuck him. Actually, I remember in the mid-'90s I ran into him. Shane, our old manager.
Was he in a dress?
Probably not.
Okay.
But he definitely had eyeliner on. And he was like, yo, what's the problem? I'm like, what do you mean, what's the problem? I actually went on St. Mark's Place. And he was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, yo, Frank's attacking me in interviews. I was like, well, I was like, maybe you deserve to be attacked. It's like, think about it. You know, it's like, you're a fucking, you know, and
He was a con man, guys. A con
yeah, I
man.
mean, there's a lot of managers out there that will promise you the world, and they will fucking tell you this, that, and the other thing.
He saw a young band with potential, and he basically looked at it, and he said, maybe I'll strike it, maybe I won't, but I'm going to ride these young guys. They have no idea what I'm going to do. And he promised the world.
Oh, and he didn't. I think he got us one gig.
Yeah, we went on after Doggy Dog at the Grand.
Because we showed. Oh, here's a fun story, people. All right,
Ray, I love you. You know that, Ray Malone.
So he got us one gig, right? And we were supposed to play. We were gonna play with Doggy Dog. I think that flyer's up on this fucking thing behind you.
With the Grand?
Yeah, it might be. Look, is it there?
I'm looking. No.
I know I have a flyer for it somewhere. Anyway, we got there. We still got there before doors opened.
We didn't get there first, though.
No, but there was this whole fucking thing where it was like we showed up.
Wait, there's something very important we have to add to this. Didn't Shane have record companies come down that night that they were supposed to be looking at us too?
I think so.
Okay, go on.
I think he had Monty Connor come down from Roadrunner.
Yes.
You know, which
should have been Howie, but
should have been Howie. But knowing Howie, he was like, "Fuck out of here."
Thanks, Howie.
I'm just saying. I worked with Howie for a lot of years.
I know you did.
That.
I know. It worked out for you in the end.
Sort of. So, anyway, we show up at the we were running late. It was a Friday or Saturday. I think it was a Friday game.
It was a Friday.
Friday, traffic was and we were stuck in New York traffic, which, yeah, whatever. So, we show up still before doors, but we missed like technical load-in time. And they were like, well, you guys showed up late, so you're going to go on after Doggy Dog. It's like, well, we can still stick our gear
in front of theirs.
And you know, in front of theirs, it'll take us 2 seconds. Like, no, you're going to go on after Doggy Dog.
But where's our manager?
Our manager is probably in the bathroom snorting coke. That's probably where our manager was. And we still had a good amount of people there. I remember I kicked the floor monitors off the stage.
Yes, you did.
And they weren't happy about that.
I was pretty funny, I thought.
You know, I was like, these big ass fucking 15 fucking inch floor monitors, gone. You know, fuck them. Hey,
you're much angrier when you played back then.
Well, I'm still angry when I play. I just
don't kick things anymore, though.
I don't have big stages to throw them off of anymore. So, you know, now
anybody out there, any promoters, get Crazy Eddie on a big stage so Lenny can kick things.
I'm not paying for it. Fuck you.
He didn't pay for it at the Grand. We left that. So you.
Although we did get some of our money taken away. We played Coney Island High. Fahrenheit played Coney Island High, and we had Joel playing drums. So
yes.
Late '95, Joel decided he wanted to, like, throw his drums off the riser, right? And he wound up fucking throwing all his drums off the stage.
Okay.
And we wound up getting all our money taken away from us because he apparently damaged some mics.
I'm sure he did it
you know, it was just an excuse not to fucking pay us, you know. And I think Armando was like, the guy came, I was like, started bullshit with Armando. Like, you're gonna fucking pay me, Armando. Dude, get the fuck away from me, bro. You know, fuck out of my face, bro. Hi, Armando. But yeah, like I said, you guys have been attacking fucking with this apparition thing.
Attacking.
You know, I mean, you've been playing this tri-state. You did Puerto Rico. You've done Europe.
Correct. Going back to Europe in October.
You're going to South America.
We're playing Chile in May 16th with Terror in Santiago, Chile, and then we'll be there for 2 more dates and then flying home. And then we are going to Japan on December 28th. We're booking 2 other dates for that. So we're doing a lot this year.
Do you feel that there's more attention given to you guys because you have a female front person?
You know, that is an awesome question, because I actually would think that myself on some things. I honestly, the way I see bands with female singers, even like Walls of Jericho,
which Marla sang with.
Correct.
At St. Vitus.
And had a great time. Then
yes,
they're very close friends.
She did a great job. You did a great job. Marlo, you did a good job.
Initially, I think a lot of times bands with female singers, that's how they'll get people's attention originally. But where it goes to any band, if their sound and their vocalists and their lyrics don't hook you after that, then the attention's only going to be short-lived. Because you can only carry it so far. So I think sometimes people are like, oh, I want to go check it out and see what it's about. But, you know, and then they'll find out that she's more than just a female singer. She's got, you know, lyrics. She's got things to say, and, you know, hell of a front person, too. Puts on it. And I've played with some good front people. Armando was a fucking beast. I still don't know how he had those ups all the time. But, and, you know, I just honestly feel like it's an initial thing, you know. Let's go in and check it out and see how it is. But when it comes down to it, if your lyrics and your vocal style and what you bring to the table aren't legit, then what does it matter, what, you know, who you are at that point, you know?
Yeah, because you guys have definitely been kicking around. How many records now?
This is the 3rd record. And needless to say, this is the one I'm most proud of. This is probably I'm most proud of this record and the SFT Without a Cause Don Fury's 7-inch. Those are my 2 favorite things I've ever put out, and they're decades apart.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
And also for you guys at home, there is going to be a new 4 in the Chamber EP coming out within the next 5 months. It's strictly for fun. It's original singer Cedric's doing it, Gian from Apparition, my friend Rob from Belgium, and Tony from the Bronx is going to be playing drums.
Tony from the Bronx? Which Tony from the Bronx?
Tony Ortiz from the Bronx, who's the Level Up drum engineer. So we're just doing it for fun, but, you know, want to keep busy, keep playing music. That's what this guy taught me, keep busy.
Well, you have to keep busy. I mean, at this point, there's no money to be made in this. There really isn't. The money you make in this, it will never cover what you put into it. It never will.
Right.
I mean, we all play, we all put out merchandise and things, and you know, I mean, I can't tell you how much money was spent on like buttons and stickers alone. Which, you know, when I have graffiti artists telling me, like, I've been seeing your stickers around, it's like, that's a good thing. You know, that's a good thing.
It's all about branding, man. The more that people see your name and stuff.
Yeah.
And listen, if you guys out there have not checked out the Crazy Eddie record yet, you're missing it. And I'm not just saying it because he's my friend for...
He is saying it because he's my
30
friend.
years. Nah, the record's fun and it's full of energy. And if you like that old school punk rock hardcore style, which is missing nowadays...
That guy.
That guy, and look at this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but here Dave ate Dave. So,
okay,
having a female frontman or front woman, front woman. Hi, Marlo. Do you feel that there's some guys who just are into the band because of that.
Yeah, but those people honestly don't stick around.
It's like they almost feel like I have no chance, so
Or they just like I said earlier, they think their perception is one thing, and then when they go to a bunch of shows, it's like, oh, this is a band. You know, it's not it's not a gimmick.
Yeah,
this is a person that leaves their ass on the stage, works hard, does not just like that. What is that? Butcher Babes band or something like that. It's not a gimmick.
She's not a Suicide Girl, guys.
Yeah, one of those things. It's not a gimmick. Like any of these bands, like these front persons, like Candace Walls of Jericho, or even the singer from Arch Enemy. They go out there, they put their ass on the line, and 90% of the time they kick the guy's ass on what they're doing. They're just musicians, just like everybody else. It's not a gimmick.
She is a guitar player.
Yes.
Well, as a guitar player, how much, when it comes to writing, is she involved, like instrument wise? Or does she leave it up?
Strangely, when it comes to the writing process, she really stays out of it. But she'll do some organization.
Arranging.
She'll do some arrangements, and she'll also, like with the last record, she was a couple ideas. She wanted some pinch harmonics thrown in certain places. So the guitar player in her does come out once in a while when she's like, oh no, I want it like this. Or I want this, or, always the musician. You never forget what your arrangements you want to sound like.
What's the plan for Apparition now in the future?
2019. Our deck is full. Like I said earlier, we're trying to play some good local shows. Chile, South America in May. Heading back to Europe in October, end of October, early November, and then Japan, end of December. So the year is pretty much full.
Good.
And that's the way I like to stay busy, making some life experiences right now. Because this is fun. Don't ever forget, this is all for fun.
It has to be for fun.
Nobody getting rich off this.
There's very few fucking New York hardcore bands getting rich off of this. I can name the 2 or the 3 that are doing great. Sickaville, AF, Madball. That's it. Those are the guys making us, paying some bills off of this.
Paying bills, because I'm not paying bills.
I'm paying bills. It sucks. Sucks. As far as fucking and speaking of which, by the way,
paying bills.
No, without a cause.
Oh, without a cause. Okay.
So
we're circling back, guys.
We're circling back. There's not going to be a show on this, but right now it looks like there's going to be at least a 12-inch record with the Nation of Neglect 7-inch on it, and the Black Demo with an extra track that was unreleased on it. Maybe some other stuff, we're not sure yet. But at the very least, 8 songs. At the very least, 8 songs, which I think...
they're all solid tracks, guys.
It is what it is for the early 90s style. It was metalcore almost. You could say hardcore, but, we let our influence of that time on our sleeve, somewhat Biohazard-ish, somewhat Leeway-ish.
Was that ever because we were practicing at Fastlane?
Well, maybe.
Did we have the Biohazard-ish? For those of you who don't know, the Black Demo, the infamous Black Demo, was recorded at Fastlane Studios, which at that time, I believe, Biohazard practiced there, right? Life of Agony
practiced there.
Marauder, Typo?
No, they were Sty in the Sky.
All right, Confusion,
Judgment Day.
Yeah, there was a lot
Nobody's Perfect.
Basically, the who's who of Brooklyn practiced at that studio. So,
and often I think at that point in time they were, and I had practiced there as recently as the mid 2000s, and they were still a really good studio. Up until they closed, it was still like the shit.
I know Apparition practiced there at least 3 months before it closed. Like, that was the home. But I'll just tell you one thing. For a band to travel from the Bronx and Upper Manhattan to go to Brooklyn just to practice, I was saying a lot for that studio.
Well, that was also Frank Collins talking about. That's the reason why we really started practicing it, because before that it was either Boo Studios or what was the other place? Ultrasound.
Well, Ultrasound wasn't bad. I liked Ultrasound.
It wasn't bad. They're gone now.
Boo was fun. Al was jumping off the walls in that studio.
Boo was actually a really good studio. Ultrasound wasn't bad, but all those studios are now gone out of that building. No more music out of that building. They sold the building. And now it's just offices. And
times change, man.
Well, it's New York.
New York City, man. I think, I don't even know what Fastlane became. Furniture store?
I do and I don't. I actually, I have a friend of mine who is friends with Mike Ferrara, and he helped them get all the equipment out of there.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of equipment.
Well, now now he has a studio in Farmingdale, and he's actually in the black. He's like, it's
making money.
Yeah, he's actually making money right now. You know, which is
making money in the music business. Go figure that one out.
You don't make money in the music business. You break even or you
lose.
You lose. You go broke.
Hopefully you break even. That's all you can hope for. But it's for fun. Remember that. Fun. Kids, for fun.
There's no making money at this, dude. It's fucked up as it is. It's like you want to make money, but if you're into making music to make money, you're in a one-legged race.
So if the camera would actually be able to pan around, kids, I just want to show, like, this is what it really is about, is making memories. I'm just sitting at Lenny's house and, you know, getting to play with Burn and, you know, Fahrenheit with Judge and H2O and Downset. You know, all this stuff. That's what this is about, is making life experiences and getting to do cool things. I know you had a nice fun tour in a van, right?
All my tours were in a van.
There you go. So
I never traveled by bus.
What's a bus?
A bus? Mm-hmm. Bus is $5,000.
Ah, yeah, I never had a bus.
Nobody has a bus. Even the guys who want a bus don't get a bus.
I had a van. It was dirty and smelled.
Shit, even the sick of it all guys don't do bus. They do a van wagon, or they do a fucking...
With a hitch.
With a hitch. You know? The sick of it all. Before we leave out of here, let's talk about sick of it all real quickly. Guys are still at it.
Still.
They're fucking...
That's a machine.
That's... Dude. They're the one band who will deliver night after night after night.
I don't know how they do it, man. That band has so much energy, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. It's unbelievable. Them and AF, the same thing. I was like, I played with them twice in 2018, and I honestly say that was two of the most fun shows I've ever been. I had so much fun during their set, and their set, it was like a euphoria that lasted like 2 days, and then I was like, damn, can I go back to the show?
No, you can't.
No, it's over. It's over.
It's over.
Stigma always brings a smile to my face. Always. I could be having a terrible day, and that guy just... He'll light up my day, man.
So with that being said, folks, I think I've been drunk enough today.
He's pretty drunk.
I'm fucking fucked up. I'm not gonna lie.
And I'm not.
No, because, you know, Dave doesn't do those things. He don't do drugs or... Well, what about the time with the No Redeeming tour?
Got fucked up.
It was his first and last time.
It was my first and last time experiencing the wonders of
cannabis.
Amsterdam in... Yeah, when you go with No Redeeming, it's... if Kevin Gill and Pete the Meat didn't save me, I don't know what would have happened. They're like, here, try some space cake. Remember, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't drink. Let's just say the whole world became a fucking fishbowl. I know I fell asleep underneath a sink with a towel on my head. That's all I know.
I actually recreated that photo when I went to Amsterdam. I was like, you know what? Dave fell asleep under a sink with a towel. In fact, after this, I'll show you the photo.
Nice.
I was like, in honor of Dave. Why not?
Never again. That's all I was saying.
Ugh. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Dave, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, brother, as always.
Peace.